Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us for this month's Parent Cafe. I hope you have your lunch ready because you are in for a real treat on today. Today, we have the pleasure of having Miss Tonia Gibbons, who is an entrepreneur who specializes in public relations and consulting services for those seeking to be elected to public office, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations. Through her company, Far More and Associates. After spending a decade working for a Fortune 500 company and working in local politics, Tanya knows how to position and sell her clients to their target audience. Everything moves at the speed of relationships, which is how Tanya relates to those who she works with and serves. Tanya has built a reputation on connecting people, building relationships, and creating and managing events as a part of her different roles in manufacturing, local government, and nonprofits. Tanya is also the creator and host of her very own podcast, Tuesday Talks with Tanya, a platform for women discussing topics that affect them. You can follow her on YouTube, AudioMac, and Facebook. With no further ado, we have Miss Tonia Gibbons here.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to Augusta Partnership for Children for having me at the Parent Cafe. This is an honor and a privilege, and I don't take it lightly or for granted. And today's conversation, just a little bit about me. Patrice so eloquently shared some of my background and information. And yes, I love helping people. I love serving people, serving the community, helping people do what it is that they're trying to do. Today's topic that I wanted to kind of touch on some things as I think about nonprofits and how they work, how they should work, how they're created, how they're started, and how they're maintained. So, seeing the big picture, partnerships are key. And as she alluded to earlier, everything happens and moves at the speed of a relationship. And with nonprofits, we should always look to strategize and work together. In Augusta, a lot of people don't know this, but we have more nonprofits per capita than the whole entire state of Georgia. That is crazy to me because everybody's trying to do the same thing, the same work, but are you really being impactful? Are you really making a difference in your community? Versus us coming to someone like an Augusta Partnership for Children and saying, hey, do you have anyone doing this? Do you have anyone that is serving children? Do you have anyone that is providing free tutoring? That's what you need to do before starting a nonprofit. You need to check what's going on in your city, in your area, in your community to see if there's somebody already doing that. If so, then try to join them, try to offer your services, try to collaborate, try to build a relationship. And then if not, then you go to that next step about how do I start this nonprofit? A lot of times people are in it for the wrong reasons. Sometimes people are in it for money. Sometimes people are in it because they want to be the lead. They want to be the head. Sometimes people really do have a passion to serve and to provide a service. So just make sure that when you're preparing to do a nonprofit, what are your motives? Check your motives, check your area, and then make sure you collaborate with those that are in the community doing something similar or something that can add to what you're doing. And you should always want to add to what someone else is doing. For instance, Augusta Partnership for Children, they're a consortium. So that means they have other nonprofits that work with them collectively. So it's kind of like they're the umbrella and everybody else is the handle. We come along and support the bigger picture, which is the umbrella. So every time somebody comes to me about starting a nonprofit, I send them to Augusta Partnership for Children because I know that they know who is doing what in this area, if it's legit, if they're actually a legitimate nonprofit with a registered 501c3 with the state of Georgia. That's how you know people are really doing the work when they're serious about it and they have the proper documentation. They go through the proper steps, registering their nonprofit, making sure they have a board of directors. All of those things have to take place in order for a nonprofit to be successful. And you should always reach out to the community because you're going to need board members. You're going to need volunteers. You're going to need people to donate. So you have to build those relationships as you build the nonprofit. A lot of times people think, I'm just going to write a grant. I'm going to get all this money. It doesn't work like that. Grants take time, they take technical expertise, they can be very, very daunting if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't have staff, or if you don't have someone that is versed in writing grants, you will struggle. And that, I'm not being discouraging, I'm just letting people know what all it takes to have a well-run nonprofit. Some other things that I wanted to talk about is just how do you partner? You know, a lot of times we don't go out, we don't network. There are events that go on or take place in your community, and you just overlook them because it's like, oh, that's not anything I'm just interested in. But you would be very surprised of who's in the room at those events, who you can meet, who you can connect with, who may have an opportunity for you, who may say, hey, I see you're doing this work. I'm writing a grant that I can include you in if you would like to come alongside us. So those are the opportunities that you need to take advantage of. Taking advantage of networking events, whether that's with your local chamber of commerce, whether that's with something the city has going on, or just individuals or nonprofits in general. I try to attend a lot of stuff. People always say, you're everywhere doing everything. And I try to do that because I want to know what's going on in my city. I want to know how I can help, how I can serve, how I can support, how I can connect. And that's what everyone should do, no matter what your motivation is for starting a nonprofit or being whatever business you want to be, serving whatever. You have to know how to connect with your community. You have to know how to connect with those you want to serve. You absolutely want to know how to connect with those who have the money to help you do what you're trying to do. And networking is one of those ways that you can do that. I am currently working with a nonprofit called Channel Pass, and they provide free mental health services to those who are at risk, indigent, those who have trouble getting insurance, or those who just can't afford the weekly or monthly, however often they go, the co-pays. And so they work with a number of organizations. We partner. They partner with Bridge Builders, the Department of Juvenile Justice, Augusta Partnership for Children. And those are just some of the partnerships, but you look for strategic partnerships. Who has the capacity to assist you? Who also has the people that you want to reach? So for instance, Augusta Partnership for Children, and I keep mentioning them because they're like my standard. They're like my go-to, and I want to make sure that I recognize them because they've always been that staple in this community for years. But who do they serve? Do they serve children and you want to serve children? Do they serve families or adults? And yes, they do. They serve all of the above. And so if your target capacity for serving is children, adults, couples, homeless, whatever your target is, find out who is doing that. And so Channel Pass absolutely works with those who can refer their client to us to say, hey, this client needs mental health services, but they can't afford it. They don't have insurance, or their insurance won't cover all of their copays, whatever the case may be. Just like DJJ, they have a population that we serve because these are clients that are coming out of incarceration back into the city. And part of their plan to stay out is they have to get mental health counseling. We are working with several organizations and individuals in the community to say, hey, we have children that could possibly, benefit from the services that you offer. That's networking. That's what everything is about. How do you connect? How do you stay connected? How do you engage? How do you make impact? Maximum impact, because it's okay to do a nonprofit, but if you're only serving one person, are you making an impact? Yes, you are in that one person's life, but we want to make maximum impact. We want to impact the most people that we can, doing the most good for those that we can. If there are any questions, I'm not really sure if you guys take questions or how you do. I know I've talked a lot and I can continue to talking, but I just want to make sure that we are covering everything that you guys need to hear and know about partnering and the big picture. What's the big picture? What is the goal?
So, Miss Tonia, you have shared so much great information, and I just want to thank you for being here and sharing the information that you have shared thus far. But just to go back on some of the things that you discussed in the beginning, you said, for one, I did not know the data of how many nonprofits are here just within the city. Can you give it to me one more time?
So we have more nonprofits per capita than the state. And what that means is based on the number of people in our city, we have more nonprofits than the entire state of Georgia. So when you think about Atlanta, of course, you in your mind, because they're bigger, that they have more nonprofits, and they do, but it means based on the number of people that are in your city. And so based on the number of people in our city, we have so many that it overtakes the number of people in our city. And so when you look at those numbers, it's like, wow, Atlanta being as big and massive as it is, but Augusta, we're so tight and compact, but we have so many nonprofits in this small area. And so that's, to me, when I found that, I was like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure, even though there are very important nonprofits here, we also have some that are just kind of, and I don't mean to say it like this, but kind of fly by night. They're here, they're not here, they're serving, they're not serving, or they started and now they're defunct, but they are still on the books, and they're still counted for whatever reason. And so when you look at it from a holistic standpoint, that's more than we need for the number of people that we have in our community.
Right. And so with that being said, I know you said it's best, like when people come to you first and say they want to start a nonprofit, you refer, have you tried this organization first to see if they're doing the things that you are thinking about or wanting to do? Because like you said, collaboration and being able to serve up under somebody else and helping somebody else, that's very important. And especially to push the narrative forward, to help impact the most people. But I think sometimes a piece of the problem is, I think you stated it, everybody wants to be the leader. Like, oh, this is what my nonprofit did. This is what I did. It's more of a I thing instead of a we thing. And I'm coming together to help you further your mission. And do what do what you set out to do. And then I think also on the back end of that is, sometimes people, like you stated, also people are very passionate, and so they do want what they're doing directly connected to them, because they may want to leave a legacy. A legacy. But how would you instruct people to really navigate that space of, yes, you can, I know you want to create and leave a legacy for, who's to come behind you, but it may also just be best for you to serve at another organization.
Yes. So, for instance, when people come to me, then I'll say, hey, you know what? Have you tried contacting, for instance, I met a young lady at the community foundation. We had a mixer for nonprofits and trying to find board members. And she said she just moved here from New York, so she really didn't know anybody, didn't know the lay of the land, so to speak. And she said, I'm gonna start a nonprofit for abused women. And I said, have you tried Safe Homes of Augusta? And she was like, what is that? So a lot of times people just don't know, especially when they're not from the community. And so I said, Safe Homes of Augusta is our domestic violence shelter, and they service this area. I said, you really need to go and have a conversation with them, see what they're doing. And she was like, oh, okay, thank you. Now, sometimes people will accept that freely, and sometimes they'll be like, well, I'm gonna just do my own. But it would behoove people to do their due diligence, see what's already going in your community, and go have a conversation. But again, when they come to me, because they don't know, and you don't know what you don't know, and so I try to help and guide and say, hey, check out this organization, go talk to this person and see how that works out for you. And then if you still feel like you want to start your nonprofit, then there's another path that you should take when you're trying to go that route.
Okay, that's very good information, because even if, like, say for instance, that one person going to Safe Homes, maybe they wanted to start a whole nonprofit, but then once connecting with them, they was like, okay, well, maybe I can work with y'all, but I can be known for offering a certain type of service to you all, so you can still be very useful, and you can still be able to market yourself for offering this service without you having to start a whole nonprofit. But you can be known for, okay, well, this person, they'll come in to your, to the shelters or the Safe Homes, and they will offer counseling services or resume writing skills or whatever have you, and then their name can be passed on to other organizations as you being that person without you having to go through all the legalities of having and starting a nonprofit and all of that. And so that's great. That's really good information, especially because I'm still stuck on that per capita part.
It's alarming.
Yeah,
it is alarming when you think about it. So you're like, where are these people at? Because there's still such a great need, and that's where I see it. I'm like, we still have gaps. We still have a great need. So how do we have all these nonprofits and the needs still aren't getting met? I don't understand. That's not, the math is not mathing.
Right.
So to me, that means people really aren't doing what they say they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're just in name only, thinking they're going to get money, or people are just doing one-offs. Like I may serve 5 here, 10 there, and not holistically serving hundreds,
right,
and serving actual communities. So that's where it alarms me the most, because we shouldn't have such great need if we have so many nonprofits serving.
So somewhere there's still a ball being dropped. There's still a ball being dropped somewhere, and
it's when you think about service as a whole, everybody knows that service is the greatest gift. That's one of the biggest things you can do, is to serve. But to serve purposely and to serve for impact is something way different than just serving.
Right.
I can say, hey, I'm going to go feed the homeless today. That's serving, but how lasting is that impact?
Right.
It's just that one day. It's just that one meal. Versus me saying, hey, every day I'm going to go to this area and I'm going to serve food. And then on top of that, I'm going to offer other services. I'm going to offer clothes. I'm going to offer medical. So you have to think of it like that, because people are living in cycles. And that's why we have such a problem with poverty, because they're living in cycles, because we're really not meeting their holistic need, which is why the whole per capita thing just doesn't make sense.
Right.
It just doesn't.
Absolutely. Okay, well, could you tell me more about Far More and Associates? Where did the name come from? And, can you just give us a little bit more information about that?
So Far More and Associates, the name is actually my maiden name.
Okay.
So my maiden name is Tonia Farr.
Okay.
And as I was thinking about my business name, I just wrote out some things, and God dropped some stuff in my spirit, and I sent a survey out to my friends, very close friends, and my mentor. Hey, these are the names I'm thinking about for my business, and everybody selected Far More and Associates. And I like it because it's clean.
Yes.
It seems like it's just it could be an attorney's office. It could be anything. It could be a number of things.
Listen,
it could be a number of things. And
you got elegance on that name.
Absolutely. and that's what I want to go for. I don't want people trying to judge me based off of what my name is or what they think I am. And so my tagline is far more than you think, far more than you expect.
Yes.
That's the tagline.
Right.
Because a lot of times people are like, what is PR? What is, what do you do? What is consulting? PR is public relations. It's connecting with your community, connecting with your constituent, connecting with your customer, whoever your target is. It helps you to build and brand yourself with that community.
Right.
For instance, I did a entrepreneur day at Burke County Middle School.
Okay.
And I went in and talked about public relations, and the kids had no idea. I said, what is a consultant? And they was like, it's like a counselor.
Right.
But really it is in a way, because a counselor guides, their educational career. A consultant kind of guides your whatever you're on, whether you're a nonprofit, whether you're somebody running for a political office. We help you with strategic planning. We help you with, connecting with those that you're trying to reach, making sure that your brand is clean, clear, on point. Okay. And so those are the types of things that we do from a consulting standpoint. And public relations, it's just what it says.
Yeah.
Building your public persona. Because I gave them an example. I said, if I say a name, you tell me if you have a positive thought about them or a negative. So I named Taylor Swift. Positive. Oh, yeah. I said, what about Barack Obama? Yeah. I said, well, what about Donald Trump? No. I said, why? Because he's this and he's that. I said, okay, that's his public perception. That's your perception. Yeah. So how somebody has to go in and crisis manage and try to make sure that his persona isn't negative anymore. So that's public relations. When you go in and do damage control, I said, if you go to a restaurant and you have bad service, what's the first thing you do?
It's for the manager.
You ask for the manager, but then what? When you leave and go home,
Oh, you're gonna have to make a complaint somewhere.
You're gonna go on Google,
yes,
and you're gonna say this was the worst service. You're gonna go on TikTok, Facebook,
right?
So they have to have somebody to manage that.
Mm-hmm.
They have to have somebody to come back and say, "Hey, this is really not who we are. How can we fix this?"
Right.
That's public relations.
Okay.
And so that's what we do.
All right. And so, how did you get into that? How did you get into public relations?
So what had happened was, when I looked back over my career, I've been working since I was 14 years old.
Okay.
And this year, it would be 40 years that I've been working.
All right.
So I look back over my career and the things that I've done and the jobs I've had, and I just kind of brought all those skills and put it in the toolbox and said, I can help anybody do probably anything because I've done a myriad of things.
Yeah.
And the political process really encouraged me to build a brand for myself because I was helping people win mayor's races and state representative races and state senator races. And then from my manufacturing, I did a lot with people. I did a lot with systems and processes. And I worked for law enforcement. I worked in banking. So all of these things, I was like, I can help other people. Yeah. And people are always calling me for stuff. And I said, okay, turn it into a business. I wanted to work for myself. So when I left the mayor's office the first time, I started a business. And I was like, hey, I kind of like this working for myself kind of thing. Because the other piece for me is I can work with multiple people, multiple organizations, and not be tied to a job and then you're restricted. You only can work with this group, or I didn't want those restrictions. Right. And my business is agnostic, meaning I can work with anybody. Any type, any individual, organization, you name it, I can probably do it. Okay. All right. And so how does somebody get in contact with you? How does somebody access your services? So I have a website. It's farmoranassociates.com. I'm on Facebook, Farmorn Associates, and I'm on LinkedIn as well. Okay. So, yes. And my phone number is on there, which is 706-774-1651. Okay. And they can just reach out for a consultation. Is it a consultation first and then to see? Yes. I do free 15-minute consultation just to hear what it is you're trying to do, what it is you're trying to accomplish. And then we can set up something after that if you decide to continue. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I know you said you have a partnership. You work with Channel Pathway. Channel Pass is a client of mine. Yes. I started out with them, consulting them last year, helped them with their nonprofit, get their board set up, putting processes and procedures in place, getting them connected back in the community as a nonprofit because they were a for-profit business for 20-some years. And then bridging the gaps with mental health resources. Okay. And so really letting people know who they are and what they are. Well, in December, I told them we really need an executive director. They said, well, can you do it? And I was like, on an interim basis. I will do it for 3 months because I still have other clients that I manage. Okay. And I can't just commit to working for one person. Right. That was the whole reason why I started working for myself. Yeah. But I decided to help them out and give them 3 months and to help them find an executive director. So I've been wearing that hat as well as consulting at the same time for them. Okay. And how rewarding, not just for them, rewarding is the whole process within itself. Being able to help clients. If you take say for instance, somebody's coming in fresh, wanting to start a nonprofit, and you walk with them from that starting point all the way to the point to where they are making an impact. What does that look like for you? What is that? It feels amazing. There's a young man, Chris Mullins, and he tells the story to this day. He came to my office when I was in the mayor's office. And so I was consulting back then for free. Just didn't know it. But he came to my office. He was like, Ms. Tonia, I want to start a nonprofit. And he started Fannie Mae, but I sent him to Augusta Partnership first. And then I gave him a list of homework to do. Do this, 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 and this. He did all of that stuff, and he started his nonprofit. Okay. And I see the impact he's making, and he tells people all the time, Miss Tonia told me this, this, and this, and this is why I'm here, and this is how I started. And so it feels good, and I don't do it for recognition or anything, but I just do it because I want to see the community grow and thrive and be all that it could be. And so when I see those things, it makes me like so elated to see that somebody actually listened to me. Right. And they got the result that they were seeking because they followed the instructions. Yeah. So it's a
Okay,
great feeling.
that's good. And this I'm asking for a friend, and I can't ask you for a friend because you sitting right here and
Yes.
you the plug.
Right.
Oh, if you was to offer, do you offer like if somebody wants to be a business consultant or something like that, do you offer what, not shadowing,
Like
but
an internship.
or mentor, like a mentor, somebody who wants to step into the arena of being a public relations specialist and things of that nature? Do you offer mentorship? And
So the funny thing is, I hadn't before, but I was contacted by Georgia Southern. A professor at Georgia Southern found me on Google.
Okay.
He was looking for an internship for her public relations students, and she said, "I just Googled your name and you came up, and I said, I never thought about it." I said, "But now that you've contacted me and what you're telling me," I said, "I absolutely will put something together so that I will take interns." So I'm in the process of doing that.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have my contact getting in contact with you. Yes. Okay. Miss Destiny says, "I vote Tonya for our next president." Come on, next president. She's so well spoken and she got it all together. Like she said, she's helped everybody, help people win elections, win races and stuff. Listen, when y'all ready to rap? When are we setting up a headquarters so we can get behind Miss Tonia Gibbons, okay? I'm ready.
Thank you. That is so funny. And I love it. And people come to me all the time. So when are you running for mayor? I'm not. I do better on the other side. And I do that because I don't think Augusta's ready. I don't think they're ready. I don't. And sometimes I'm not always politically correct.
Okay.
So,
but sometimes that's what we need.
It is what we need.
And I'm not even gonna say sometimes. We need that quite often.
We do.
Not being politically correct. But do you think also working that close to the political side made you be like, no, this not for me?
Yeah, because I was behind the scenes and I saw a lot. I heard a lot. I know a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can make you jaded. And I don't want to be jaded, but I'm just really mindful of where I want to be and where I want to go.
Okay.
And I don't aspire to do that right now. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I don't aspire to do that. And it's so funny because everybody that I know from way back when, even when I was working at Procter & Gamble over 10 years ago, it's probably been longer, but they used to call me Olivia Pope when Scandal was out. And people still call me that to this day, like, all time.
Okay, well, I think like if we just ready to have the write-in selection, if we just if enough of us write in Tonia Gibbons, I'm pretty sure that they gonna have to like, who is this? We gonna have to go something. They gonna we gotta find her because she won, but she wasn't even running. So clearly there's a disconnect somewhere.
That happens, I would have to take the position.
You would have to take the position.
I would take the
position. Somebody said, "Thank you for sharing this information. Great information." So yeah, you have people tuning in. They are for you, Tonya. They are ready, Tonya. We need you. You have the it factor. Definitely God's favorite child. Come on. They love you, Tonya. And it has been great to sit here and talk with you and connect with you. We connected last week, y'all. So this is just a continuation. Yes, this is just a continuation. And listen, I second everything that they have said because you're awesome, you're so phenomenal, and you can tell that the work that you're doing is from the heart and that you mean what you say and you say what you mean and you're walking the walk. And thank you so much for being that guiding light that businesses and people need in the community, because we need a stand-up person to tell us the hard truth about when people are wanting to start businesses and things of that nature. Don't recreate the wheel. Figure out how you can get on the wheel and help it go forward. And so I thank you for being that voice of reasoning for so many people within the community. Thank you again for being here. Again, it was a joy to have you. Yeah, that's right. Y'all, come on. Thank y'all for tuning in to get in contact with Miss Tonya. She left her website and her phone number. So if y'all are looking to start a business, go ahead, reach out. get in contact with her and let's connect. Go support her. Thank you again for tuning in. We will see y'all next month. Bye.